I have a local artist here with me that lives in Mariposa and also sells across the street from me called, what store is it, Becky?
Mariposa Marketplace.
Mariposa Marketplace. This is Becky Caraco. She's from Becky Caraco Designs. What is Becky Caraco Designs?
Becky Caraco Designs was my attempt at coming up with a business name. Why not use my own name and say I design? Because I design anything that comes to my mind. So,
and what do you design?
Well, I started out doing fused glass and jewelry related to fused glass many years ago, melting it in my kilns and all that. And then I started making beads using a torch and flaming them, and then they go into a kiln that way. And I used to sell them to designers, and then I started actually designing. So that's where the design comes in.
How fun. That's how I similarly started
Really?
with my jewelry making.
Yeah.
Just making it for other designers. But what's the difference between lamp work and, what did you say, kiln?
Yeah, so kiln
Fused glass?
work, fused glass is what I call kiln work. I call that my flat work. That's my two-dimensional work. That's where you layer glass together that is compatible, and you layer it, turn on the kiln, and the heat and gravity makes it fuse into one piece. Whereas lamp work, I actually call lamp work flame working, because in the old days they used kerosene lamps. Actually, even way back further than that, they used coal-fired torches of some sort. And then now it's actually a flame with propane and oxygen mix.
I went to a bead show, and they actually did it with the kerosene lamp.
Really?
Yeah, at the show.
Yeah,
I guess
I've
'cause they
not
couldn't.
seen the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, it was pretty fun to see it.
Yeah.
I think because they couldn't have the regular fire there.
Right. Yeah.
Are these some of your tools you have?
Yeah,
or?
so I brought some of the glass in that I work with. It's all glass has a different melting point and cooling point and brittle point. So not all glass is compatible. For instance, these two could never go together. They would cause the bead to crack. But the glass that I make beads with, it comes in this tubular shape. It's kind of like a pencil shape, and it makes it very easy to melt in the torch right onto my mandrel, which is coated with a coating so it doesn't
How do you know
stick.
if they're compatible or not?
Usually,
experience,
no, it's actually they're labeled as such. So if it's labeled, for instance, this is labeled as, let's see, what is this? I forget. This one is labeled as 43 COE, and what they've done is it's been tested. So the company that I buy it from has said that it's been tested and it's compatible with other glass that has a COE of 43. So, and same goes with this. These guys are all compatible here because they've been tested, and I get them from a reputable company. So if I were to combine different kinds of glass that I wasn't sure about, spend all this time making a bead, put it into the kiln to cool and anneal, it could crack the moment it comes out, or it could crack 10 years down the road. So I'm not willing to take that chance. So I'm very careful that my glass goes together.
I made one bead in my life. And
Really?
the teacher said how great it was, and it ended up shattering.
Oh.
And it broke my heart that I never
know.
did it again.
I can't tell you how many. Even now, I still will do something dumb, or I don't heat it quite right before I put it in the kiln, and it'll come out cracked, and I'll have spent 20 minutes on a bead or something.
Can you reuse the glass, though? I mean, is there wasted material?
Yeah, I mean, you can. They say you can heat it back up and work on it, and I have done it to test it, but it's so much extra work. I usually just start over.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Well, you want to show some of your work, or you want to look at some pictures?
Sure. Well, like I said, I now do a lot of my beads for my own designs, and one of the things that I love is probably near and dear to you as well. I love to throw in fossils and gemstones and different combinations. And this has a beautiful fossil ammonite in the front as the focal piece. I also do all my own silver work. I create my own.
And that
links.
fossil's from Madagascar, and
I
it
have
opalized.
no idea. You would know.
That's where it's from. It's beautiful. And so you made every one of these beads?
Yeah, well, I made the beads. These are gemstones, is garnet and
Oh, okay, I
amber.
see that.
And then I made all my silver links. I fused them all myself.
That's beautiful.
It just becomes a whole piece that is all mine, all my work. Same with like these here. I like to throw in a lot of pearls and some of my beads and some gemstones, and So that's one of my favorite things to do is combining things because I love my glass, but I still love gems and I love pearls and I love so many things.
It looks so good together. It all works
Yeah.
together. I see that you make a lot of buttons. There's a picture of buttons here.
Yeah, that's actually a wonderful little niche that I've gotten into is the fiber industry, knitting and crocheting and these people who literally take raw wool and create their
Look at all
own
this
yarn and their own creations. And my feeling, I started to knit a number of years ago, and my feeling was if I'm going to go to all that work to create a beautiful knitted item, why would I throw a plastic button on it? So I started making buttons, and the buttons, I make them in the same way that I make a bead, except when I'm building it on a mandrel, it's actually a mandrel that has two parts to it. So I'm actually building the button kind of sideways. And I'm literally just adding the glass. It's all done in the torch. And then they go into the kiln to anneal properly.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Just recently, in the last year and a half, I've been using a lot of buttons and jewelry designs.
Oh, I've been trying to create some
so
jewelry with buttons as well.
Yeah, so a lot of, the leather bracelets that are so popular, they all want the buttons on there.
The buttons, yep. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
been
it's
doing a few
beautiful.
of those too, just taking just a basic bracelet, throwing a button on there. Because also this is a very plain button, but I do so many that have surface designs on them. So after I make the basic button, then I'll turn it, I have to keep it warm the whole time. It has to stay hot or it'll crack even while I'm working on it. And I do a lot of, I call it painting, but it's painting with glass and
How fun.
decorating on the button. So they really do become their own pieces of art.
I wish I brought it, but I bought something at the Mariposa Art Gallery, and it was one of your pieces, and it was a pen
Oh.
that you could write with, and it has some beautiful glass
Yeah, that's right.
beads on the top, and you could actually switch the beads, and
Yes.
I love that pen.
Well, when I make any of my creations, I'm the kind of person, I like things to have function, and jewelry to me is a very legitimate function, but why not also, use my beads for other things? Like I've put them on pens, I've put them on the ends of little butter knives, I put them on anything that just would be different and interesting that also would be kind of artistic.
Now, what's this here?
This is a shawl pin, so this is related to my fiber industry creation. So it just, you would take a sweater, cross it over, and stick this through. And I brought the butterfly one in that I make.
So you did the butterfly and the...
I did the
that's
butterfly,
cute.
and then it goes onto a bamboo pin. And then this is all glass, and it's actually made in the same way as this, except the mandrel is that thick. So I'm actually building it all the way around with the torch as well. So they're free form, they're funky, they're different.
The mandrels you use, are they all stainless steel, or...
They are. They're all stainless steel, and then to keep it from sticking, I coat them all with a coating, which is basically almost like a liquid clay matter that dries. And then when I take the bead off, I have to clean it off, and I can reuse the mandrel and dip it again, and I'm ready to go.
What's your favorite thing you like to make? Do you like to make the beads, buttons, or the whole jewelry piece?
The buttons I like the finished product of my buttons and my shawl pins and all of that, but they're labor intensive, so I have to be in the right mindset. But most of my beads are really where I get a lot of joy. I love to sit down at the torch. Often I'll sit down with a whole list of what I need to get done for orders, and instead I'll go off in a whole other direction and create something.
Yeah, it's hard to do orders sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
You want to start creating something new.
Well, I have to force myself. I tell myself I can create if I take care of this much of the order.
Now, where can people see your work?
I'm in the Mariposa Marketplace, like you said, across the street from you. And I do sell select designs to a few other shops. Casto Oaks, the wine tasting, also across the street from you. They have a certain design that I do for them, a couple of designs actually. And I'm, of course, online. I have my website, www.beckysglass.com. and a little bit of Etsy, a little bit here and there, and then people call me up and they want to just come see what my latest is, and I now have a new studio and they can come out and see
and
me
visit you
there.
at the
yes,
studio?
at my house.
You want to give that location before we go to commercial break?
It's outside of Mariposa off East Westfall Road, but you do definitely want to call me first because I'm not always there.
You could call her at
209-628-2854, or you can email me as well at beckysglass@gmail.com.
Well, thank you, Becky. I enjoyed seeing your work. It's beautiful.
you.